Good afternoon, South Africa, and a very warm welcome to you, and welcome to a brand new week. My name is Jeannie D, and this is Afternoon Express.
Lovely to have you join us in the loft. I'm Bonnie Booty. How was your weekend?
It was amazing. I mean, I love my weekends.
I practiced the art of resting this weekend.
Really?
I just sat on my couch and binged on series. It was glorious.
I binged on popcorn, actually, so...
So today we're having a very pertinent conversation on the show that should be happening in every school and tertiary institution in South Africa. What is the role of the mother tongue in education? We're joined by Dr. Hleze Kunju, who became the first Rhodes student to earn a doctorate with a thesis entirely in isiXhosa.
Plus, we sit down with Xolisa Guzula. This woman is incredible. She has dedicated her life to multilingual education, and over the past number of years, she's been translating literature into Xhosa for school learners. Now, we want you to join the conversation online as well. Head over to our Facebook or Twitter accounts, where we are asking you this question. In 2017, should we expect schools and universities across South Africa to teach in mother tongue languages? Very important conversation today on the last.
Essential one.
And Danilo's in the kitchen.
Hello everybody, it's good to be with you on a brand new week on this Motivational Monday. So it is a very important conversation to be had, and I know you're sitting at home and thinking, I've got views on this, I've got thoughts on this, and I want to share them. Please make sure you just think twice before coming to share your thoughts with us today, because it is a very sensitive topic, I know, for some people, but we'd love to hear from you regardless. Our phone lines are officially open, 021 430 9881. What are your thoughts on the mother tongue in education? Should we be using it more often? Should we completely replace English as a main language? Whatever your thoughts are, share them with us. 021 430 9881. I know it's quite a sensitive topic for some people, so let's all think about this stuff and share all of our thoughts on social media as well as on our phone lines. We'd love to hear from you. So, not that we really mind, but today internationally is, technically speaking, International Popsicle Day. I know it's really cold and it's the middle of winter, and no one really wants to be having a popsicle in the middle of winter. So Clem's got a cool way to turn International Popsicle Day into something that's very South African.
Yeah, and I wasn't about to do like a frozen thing like you just said.
Okay.
So we can do something nice and warm. Waffles.
But waffles are also so American, so it's kind of like we've just turned that on his head.
Yeah, but so you don't like a waffle just because it's American?
Yeah. I'll keep those thoughts reserved on Afternoon Express today. So what are we going to do with these? We're going to make like little waffles and try to make delicious popsicles with the kids.
Kind of turn it into a popsicle with basically putting it on a stick, and I love any food on a stick.
Delicious.
So it's a classic favorite, so why not? Yeah.
Great. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be loads and loads of fun on the show today. Let's start it off on the couch with our very important conversation.
Our first guest on the loft today is Xolisa Guzula, who is a doctoral student at UCT and has a passion for multilingual education. While she was a young student, she noticed that many South Africans were failing high school because they struggled with English and there was a lack of Xhosa literature available. So she took it upon herself to change this by translating the works herself. Amazing.
Welcome to Afternoon Express.
Thank you, Janine. Thank you, Bonnie.
What was that day like when you decided, like, the school materials that kids are studying from isn't actually fitting and it's not fair?
It was a frustrating, aspect of education that I came. Also a revelation for me, because I came from St. James Public High School, and then how you leave your high school and you go to university, you go to an English medium education university, and you're thinking, I'm going to be this big person who knows English, and then you get trained in English, you go to teach in an English medium school. Yeah. And then you realize even there that the children, even though they speak English better than you, they still struggle to make meaning of what they are learning. And so when I left teaching and went to do research and worked in schools in Khayelitsha, we discovered that children weren't making meaning of what they are learning. They are simply memorizing these words. They are memorizing them and reproducing them in books.
Why is that? Is it because they in their home environments, they weren't using the language in a way that they could decipher shared meaning in their families, in their day-to-day life, or see meanings in their world that made sense?
Well, parents don't speak English to their children. Yeah. They speak isiXhosa to their children, and they should. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they should speak English to their children. They should continue speaking isiXhosa to their children. But what is strange is that there's mismatch between their home language and the language of instruction in school. There's a mismatch there. So children leave the home where they are speaking in the home language, they come to school where they have to switch over to English medium. And so what happens in that shift, the school doesn't build on home knowledge that children have from home schools are supposed to build on it, and you start from what children know to what they don't know. So schools start as if everything is new to children. They will even memorize what is water. They will even memorize what are the disadvantages of not having clean water or of not, recycling water. They will memorize those things. But if you speak to them in mother tongue, they understand those things. So what happens then? They don't talk in class. They watch teachers talk, and when the teacher wants them to review what the knowledge that they had taught, the children just look at the teacher as if there's something wrong, until the teacher realizes that she needs to reteach the lesson and translates and code switches to the mother tongue. And then the children start making conversation. So what we see in the classroom is that education, the teaching method or pedagogy is not dialogic. It is one way, teacher talk and reproduction by the children. But we know that the purpose of education is to have a dialogue like we're having today, to talk to one another, to understand one another, and to also think deeply about what you're learning, to question it, and to make meaning of concepts that you are learning.
Absolutely.
Our children are not making meaning. They are memorizing and reproducing the textbook.
Yeah, and it's so difficult. I'm learning another language at the moment, and exactly what you say. You can learn the words, but unless you know them in context, you don't have a sense of humor in that language, and so you do understand a lot less.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So-
you can't write your own literature in that language.
Yeah.
You
No,
can't
you
tell
can't.
stories in that language.
You can't be creative in a second language.
Absolutely.
Well, we have some people who have become creative, but it's only a tiny minority of our writers who are exceptions, but the rest of the people aren't being creative in their own languages. So when we finish school, we seek employment somewhere because we can't use the resources that we have to produce something. For example, there could be many newspaper writers, there could be many editors in African languages. There could be many people making isiXhosa useful for banking, useful for insurance companies, translating works so that people understand even what they are signing. But we aren't creative because we're thinking, no, we only have to do things in English. So, but what we find in the workplace is that the workplace wants people who are proficient in English, and not everyone has that level of proficiency that they need when they get to the workplace. But they are proficient in their own languages. So the languages that we have are our resources for us to use when we want to produce things creatively.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, you've been doing such great work in translating so many books that are available now and that will be available in the education system. We're going to chat more a little bit about that in a little while.
Thank you.
I'm interested to find out some more.
Thank you.
Indeed, it's an interesting conversation to be had, and I know you're all sharing your thoughts with us already on social media, on Facebook as well as on our Twitter account, #AfternoonExpress. We're asking you, should we expect schools and universities across South Africa to teach in mother tongue languages, especially in 2017? Tessa van Rooyen says, I don't know if it's feasible, but I do know that if I'd been taught in languages that were not my mother tongue, I would never have passed any grade. And I'm so glad, Tessa, that you are reflecting on that. So thank you for that self-reflection. And then I wanted to read this one here from Charles, who had a different perspective. He says, English is like a form of transport used nowadays. It's very embarrassing to be unable to express yourself in English. You find that kids don't know their birth language and they don't know English either. I personally don't think this implementation would work. So it's good to see that there are mixed feelings and views on our social media accounts. Keep your comments coming through. You can also post them on our Twitter pages, #AfternoonExpress. I'm reading through all the comments that we receive on the show. Now we continue the conversation after the break as we sit down with Dr. Hleze Kunju, who was the first person to earn a doctorate at Rhodes University by submitting a thesis entirely in isiXhosa. Don't forget to add your voice on social media, as I mentioned, where today we're asking, in 2017, should we expect schools and universities across South Africa to teach in mother tongue languages? We'll be right back after this. Express yourself indeed. Welcome back. This is Afternoon Express live on SABC3. We're having a very interesting discussion in the loft today and you sharing your views on social media. So our next guest, Dr. Hleze Kunju, made history this year by being the first student in the history of Rhodes University to submit a doctoral thesis entirely in isiXhosa.
This was thanks to a new language policy at the university, and it paves the way for a bright future of academics in South Africa. Welcome to the loft, Doctor.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations on such a mammoth task. When you set out to actually write your doctorate in Xhosa, what were some of the challenges that you foresaw?
Well, I think, as Mrs. Xolisa has said, I mean, as mentioned, there isn't enough literature out there, you know. Just especially now academic literature, you know, you need theories, you need, you know, all the academic articles and books in isiXhosa, and in isiXhosa you can't really find much of those.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that was one of the
So did you
challenges.
find you had to
Do
pre-translate
PhDs
some
at
of the
once.
research?
Oh, basically, yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Get all the information, translate it into isiXhosa, and then move to the real PhD, writing it in isiXhosa. So that was something. But it was nice because as I was writing, I understood exactly what I was saying, and compared to when I did masters, the previous, you know, the masters where I had to do everything in English.
No, you were a real academic. You're the only person who will say it was nice to do.
But you clearly wanted to go through that effort, you know. You really wanted to go through all that effort to go and do this because it meant something to you.
Yes, it did. I mean, okay, if I can go back to writing a master's, it was frustrating to write something, you know. I mean, if you're doing a postgraduate thing, it's hard to get the words done, one sentence, you know. And then eventually after a few months, I've got 5 pages and I'm saying, I've worked. And then it comes, half of that is just, we don't understand what you're trying to say. You know,
So for you, it was your your best means to be able to communicate what you're trying to say was in mother tongue, and the resources were limited. So it wasn't like I'm going to show that I can create a normal doctoral thesis, but do that in isiXhosa because I just want to prove a point. It was because there was a real need for you to be able to express your knowledge in a way that you knew best how.
Exactly, it was a real need. You put it very nicely that it was a real need for me, and it worked out to show that it is possible to do something like that. You know.
Did you go through any difficulty trying to find a supervisor?
No, I didn't. Supervisor was because I had Professor Russell Kashula as a supervisor, who was my supervisor for masters as well. So he was there already. He was. You know, he was also the chairperson of the language committee at Rhodes.
Right.
So it was that part was at least covered.
Yeah. Because Rhodes has got a history with having this conversation around, you know, just the name Rhodes gets everyone's backs up and they're all thinking about colonization and worried all about the language, how that implicates the sort of topics. And so when you approach the board to say like, hey, this is what I want to write my doctorate on and I want to do it in isiXhosa and be the first person at Rhodes to do so, was there backlash? Was there a sense from the university that this was going down a path that they weren't willing to go down? Obviously, they let you do it in the end, which is very exciting to know. But what was so important about your thesis that they thought, we need to let this happen?
I think that fight was already fought by the language committee people. Okay. So by the time I got there, the police was already there, you know, so that was fine. That was at least better for me. But sorry.
Well, just in terms of the topic of your thesis, let's go down that route. I mean, what did you try to write on?
The thesis is about Xhosa people. I'm a Xhosa living in Zimbabwe, who've been there for 117 years this year, who were taken by Cecil John Rhodes, using his colonial powers, you know, taking them there. Of course, you know what he was about. You know, he was basically, he needed, you know, support at that side.
But he took them to Zim.
Yes. So so they've been living there. They speak isiXhosa, they practice the isiXhosa culture, circumcision, one of the things that's really amazing that they do, and they don't have as the death rates we have here in South Africa as much as we. So they're small community, you know, living in Zimbabwe, and they've been speaking isiXhosa for all those years, for more than a century. So I was looking at how the language has survived for so long without interaction with South Africa.
Absolutely, and I'm sure you were intrigued by how they managed to preserve the culture and the language for so long.
That's exactly what I was after.
Wow, you're not going away. We're still going to unpack this further.
Now, most of us hope that someday we can have a lifestyle that's more holiday than work. Goodness knows I do. As estate living continues to become extremely popular in South Africa, property buyers are starting to look for locations that offer an unparalleled lifestyle. And the town of Langebaan does just that at the Langebaan Country Estate.
For many, the search for a dream home begins at private property. The website boasts a wide variety of estate property options, including fantastic opportunities to enjoy a relaxed lifestyle along the west coast of the Western Cape. The picturesque lagoon village of Langebaan is surrounded by breathtaking scenery, from Fynbos-filled nature reserves to the crystal blue ocean. At the Club Mykonos Holiday Resort, the marina is a hub for both visitors and resident sailors.
Hi, I'm Tara Nias, a commercial skipper here in the marina in Langebaan, the heart of the West Coast. My boat's a 39-foot catamaran. I've been here for 20 years. After traveling everywhere, this is what I call home. Living on the ocean's a dream I've always loved. People call it a job, I actually call it a passion. We do amazing trips through the lagoon, from morning cruises, breakfast runs to sunset cruises. Langebaan's definitely one of the top places, I would say. This lagoon, it brings so much joy to everybody out there. People that love boats, fishermen, sailormen, you know, people make their life out of this lagoon. Even myself, I'm a pro kiteboarder, I've been riding for South Africa for the last few years. It's one of the top destinations in the world for kiteboarding, windsurfing, supping, all the water sports you can imagine. People come from all over the world just to use this lagoon as their training spot. We've got big sandbanks that makes crystal clear shallow waters. We have photographers coming in to do their filming shoots. We have guys with their boats. This lagoon will be packed with boats in summer. Guys tubing, skiing. In summer, it's just a little paradise for sure. Langebaan truly being the heart of the West Coast, with so much to offer. Little places like Jacobsbaai, Paternoster, whitewash houses. No wonder the photographers love it so much, being so picture perfect. And for those interested in paleontology, we have the West Coast Fossil Park right on our doorstep. Langebaan is definitely not just a holiday destination. Families could really settle down in this town. You know, there's nothing better than this. Enjoying a beer on the beach. If you want to enjoy some relaxing moments, sailing out on the lagoon, enjoying a sunset cruise, or even for the adrenaline junkies, enjoying the top sports, kite surfing, windsurfing, it's really got something to offer for everyone. Langebaan people truly, I don't think they feel like they've ever worked a day in their life. Living in this town has to feel like you're on holiday every day of your life.
For an exceptional living experience in the West Coast, look no further than Langebaan Country Estate. The estate is environmentally conscious as residents live in harmony alongside natural flora and fauna, and the leisure facilities on offer to the residents are world-class.
My name is Hleze. I reside on Langebaan Country Estate for the last 3 years now. I played hockey for South Africa. I'm now a golf professional. Sure, what a fantastic place to stay and play golf at the same time. We got a Gary Player Black Knight design course, 18 holes. Compared to other courses, quite an easy course. It's not that long. Beautiful views of the lagoon. I mean, teeing off on hole 7, amazing view of the whole lagoon. Otherwise, we got a little mashie course just outside the estate, also 18 holes for more a chip and a putt course. Fantastic for children to learn how to play golf. And recently we designed a foot golf on the first 9 of the mashie for kids to play with a soccer ball and compete with the golfers. We also got a little pro putt next to the clubhouse, a little 9-hole for young and old. All for the visitors coming to visit our clubhouse. It's a fantastic little recreation facility there. To the clubhouse, we got a good value for money restaurant, good food, beautiful views from the clubhouse, drinking sundowner cocktails, amazing place to be. On our doorstep, we also got a fantastic gym, latest, greatest equipment. We also got nice outdoor gym facilities. We've got lots of activities for young and old. When it's a nice day like this, you can go use the running track. The soccer field is a fantastic little area where the kids can play soccer, cricket, moms, dads. We normally take our picnic baskets there and go and sit and look at the kids. Got a beautiful pool as well. Have a swim if you don't want to go to the beach. We've got a bowls club. I think we've got about more or less 50 members there. As far as I know, there's not a lot of residential estates or golf estates that does have a bowls club. So what a fantastic facility. All the essential amenities are close by. For example, we got Kuro School. We've got Laguna Mall for all your shopping availabilities or needs you need to go and shop for. One of my other passions is mountain biking, cycling, and we got fantastic routes on the estate. One of my favorite tracks is cycling up Black Eagle. There's a huge rock there where you stop have a beautiful view of the whole lagoon. I mean, how fortunate am I to stay here? It's amazing. It's the best place in South Africa to be.
Hello, my name is Charlotte van Wyk. I've been living on the West Coast for the last 20 years, 10 years in Langebaan and 5 years in real estate. I would say people buying here in Langebaan is normally people that want more quiet lifestyle. People from Cape Town that's retiring, they love it here. We've got a lot of people that working overseas, the husband and the wife that's staying behind wants to be secure. They stay here for 6 months and they can pack up and just come back in the summer next year. And then we've got investors as well. The people invest in Langebaan to rent out the properties on a permanent basis, they rent it out for holiday accommodation. We've got lots of people coming for the weekends from Cape Town. Just to relax for the weekend, it's about an hour's drive. The most popular homes on the estate are the freestanding homes with 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, double garage. That's in everybody's price range. But for the younger people, we've got the apartments and then we've got the big executive homes. Everything priced from about 1.6 million up to 7 million. The future plans of the estates for next year, the retirement village, there will be about 250 to 350 units. And after that, we are planning a boutique hotel, commercial center and a school is in the pipeline. The reason why people move to Langebaan, it's a unique place. We've got the lagoon, we've got the beaches, we've got lovely, wonderful people that's relaxed and always feel like they're permanently on holiday.
What's not to love about a vacation feeling every day at Langebaan Country Estate? Visit privateproperty.co.za. Private Property, a home for everyone.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Really nice lifestyle to live out on one of those estates. Man, oh man, dreams, boys can dreams. Listen, on the show today, we're having a very interesting conversation about language, mother tongue, education. And we're bringing all of those topics together. And the more we're exploring it, the more we're realizing how deep the conversation goes. And you're sharing your viewpoints on our Facebook page at the moment about whether we should or shouldn't be teaching in mother tongue. And Curtly Peterson has opened up this can of worms, which I think is a great one. He says, won't it disadvantage us as the youth to be taught in our mother language, especially if international business language is in English? And to bolster that, we had, where is it? Yeah, there we go. Busi Yankee says, I think that's the parents' role in their kids' life. As much as it would be great for kids to be educated in their mother tongue, English stays vital as there aren't many employment opportunities where knowing how to read, write and speak English is not a requirement. Being employed in another country would also be another challenge for a child that was taught in a different language. Share your thoughts with us. Hashtag Afternoon Express, Facebook as well as Twitter. I'll be reading through all of those comments. Here's a little fun fact that you might need to know. Did you know that today's International Popsicle Day? Well, after the break, Clem puts a wintry spin on the summery classic. We'll be right back. A warm welcome back to Afternoon Express live on SABC3. We're having a great Monday afternoon and we hope that you are too. So I've chosen to wear kind of what we call the salmony pink color just to remind me of delicious popsicles because today is International Popsicle Day and something delicious is being prepared in the kitchen.
Clover fresh milk is way better than any other milk. Made with love by Clover.
As you know, Clem's always looking for a reason to celebrate, and even on a Monday, he's managed to find one. Today just happens to be International Popsicle Day, and I'm appropriately dressed. As our winter weather doesn't lend itself to this tasty treat, Clem found an appropriate way to get his pop on.
And it is so true. I am always looking for a reason to celebrate.
I know, you
Yeah,
are.
we lost
You're
the
quite
remote.
jovial.
We lost the remote at home. When we found
Yeah.
it 2 days later, we went out for dinner. It was a party. True story.
Where'd you find the remote?
Between like the sofa.
Of
like
course
far,
it was between the
far.
sofa.
The problem is that the remote's like that big. That's the thing. That's the issue. But you know what? Okay,
Yeah.
popsicles. So obviously it's winter right now. We're not going to
Yes.
make any popsicles. So I thought about something warm that you can still put on a stick. And I thought, how about waffle pops? What do you think?
Okay, I think that's very exciting because our toes are popsicle enough.
That's so true.
Absolutely. A keyword for this recipe is clover. So SMS that keyword to 33650 for the recipe and the list of ingredients. So how do we get started?
And the list of ingredients are super easy and
Easy,
super short.
hey?
So over here, I've got some cake flour, I've got some baking powder, and this is what kind of gives it that poof, that little bit of rise, and
Okay.
those bubbles in between the batter. And then I've got some sugar,
Right.
and I got some vanilla paste. And I'm loving vanilla paste instead of
You
vanilla
are.
extract right now.
You do love
It
vanilla
just,
paste.
It just smells so like more authentic. I love it. So that's gonna go in there. And in here, what I've got is some butter and some eggs that are just kind of like mixed together.
Okay.
And that's gonna go in. So actually, I'm gonna ask you if you can just pop that in there.
It's just butter and eggs here.
Butter and eggs. So what I'm gonna do right now is grab my Clover full cream fresh milk.
Okay.
And did you know that Clover only gets their milk from selected farms, which is really amazing. I'm obviously supporting local.
Yes.
And the time from the farm to on shelf, the milk stays below 4 degrees. And that's very important in like maintaining the quality and the consistency in the milk. And also,
Should
the
I
milk
mix
stays
this
fresh
in
for
the
longer.
meantime? Should I mix this up?
Yeah, absolutely, go for it.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with a little bit of the milk. So this is the one time you're allowed to have a little bit of lumps in your batter. But you kind of want to give it a good mix.
Yeah, okay.
Get everything together, but a little bit of lumps, don't be scared about that, that's totally
And
fine.
do you want your milk to be room temperature?
No, because that's very smart, because normally when you bake, you want all your ingredients to be room temperature, but no, you can use the milk straight out the fridge for this one. This is a very forgiving baking recipe.
Okay.
Cool. Give it a little more, I'm gonna give you some more milk. So I've got my waffle iron ready to go. If you don't have a waffle iron at home, what's really cool is you can actually use a griddle pan. Put it out on the griddle pan, let it start bubbling.
Yes.
And then it kind of like solidifies at the bottom. You can turn it over and cook the other side, which is really, really great. A nice waffle hack.
Nice.
So you're looking good. As soon as you get that milk mixed up in there, we'll be good. Perfect. If you get the spoon.
Is that enough?
That's perfect. So I'm gonna grab some from you.
I feel like it's not mixed properly. But
No,
you said it was quite
you don't have to
forgiving.
overmix it.
I overdo everything.
And don't forget, you mustn't overfill your waffle machine because of the baking powder. It's gonna puff up and it's gonna spill out the side.
And then it oozes out the side.
And that's just I'm not about kitchen messes because I'm not very good at cleaning up.
Yeah.
So keep it clean. Cool.
Okay.
So what's going to happen is we just put this over here. We've got some waffles that we've done already. And then we just broke it up to be
They're
little
so
hearts.
cute.
So I'm
They're
going
like
to ask
little
you,
heart shapes.
can you skewer them for me?
Absolutely.
So I've just got like some kebab sticks and I just want to kind of like skewer them to get them like nicely positioned. I've got some
Okay.
malted chocolate, but here's where you get creative. You got boys.
I've got
You literally just
boys.
set everything up for them. You give them the waffles and you let them go crazy.
And let them have fun.
I think you should put like plastic bags on them first and on the walls and on the ceilings.
Yes.
And you let them do their
Yes.
thing. Exactly like I've done. You don't want to know the
But
cleanup.
all of
part.
it's probably going to end up in their mouths.
That's fine.
First.
That's cool. So as you can see, we've done some white chocolate, dark chocolate. I've got some like sparkly bits that look like metal, but
They
it's
do.
candy. It's
They
fine.
do. They actually
And I've got
look
hundreds
very
and
cool.
thousands, and it's so easy.
They look
Love
very
it.
cool.
And you could freeze these before you put the
Oh, can
decorations
you?
on, and then put them in the toaster, and then decorate.
Wow,
Yeah.
so much fun. You should come to my house and just
Anytime.
hang out
Anytime.
all day and just make fun stuff with my kids in the kitchen.
Anytime. You look like you're having so much fun.
I am. I'm loving this. I'm a child at heart. Okay.
There you go. There we go.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. If you missed any of this simple recipe, please check out this quick recap.
Clover fresh milk is way better than any other milk. Made with love by Clover.
As soon as we go off air today, I'm going to give my dad a phone call because little fun fact, I always call him Popsicle. That's always been his nickname for me. Anyway, listen, on the show today, we're having an interesting conversation around mother tongue languages and education. And so our phone lines are open and we want you to share your thoughts with us because it's no good us just having a conversation on the couch amongst ourselves. We'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions, and you're welcome to disagree with our thoughts. 021-430-9881. 021-430-9881. Give us a call right now. Our lines are open. We'd love to engage you on this conversation. After the break, we continue this conversation around mother language in education along with our esteemed guest, Dr. Hleze Kunju and Xolisa Guzula. Remember that you can also leave a comment on our Facebook page and Twitter if you aren't going to give us a call today. But we're asking, in 2017, should we expect schools and universities across South Africa to teach in mother tongue languages? Share your thoughts and we'll be right back.
This is your chance to win the home you've always dreamed of. SA's favorite interior design reality competition, Winner Home, sees 3 design duos transform empty spaces into lavish homes, and one of them could be yours. To enter, visit privateproperty.co.za and vote for your favorite design duo. Put yourself in line to win amazing prizes in the bi-weekly draw and automatically be entered for a chance to win the grand prize, your choice of one of 3 fully designed homes in the Eye of Africa Golf and Residential Estate in the south of Joburg. The finished property will include luxurious finishes by Plascon and Caesarstone, as well as premier home appliances by Grundig, with a total prize value of more than 3 million rand. Competition details plus T's and C's can be found on the private property website. Watch the breathtaking properties come to life as the design drama unfolds and stand a chance to win the biggest prize on South African television, your very own dream home.
A warm welcome back to Afternoon Express. We're live on SABC3 and taking all your phone calls live on the show, 021 430 9881. As we're having a very interesting conversation around mother tongue languages in education. And both of our guests have joined us on the couch now to engage in a particularly important issue.
Now, I've got a lot of friends who are different nationalities to their partners, and therefore it's a big discussion with what language they're going to raise their children in versus them being educated in English. And from what I learned with them, and I want to ask if this is not true and perhaps better for the child, if the younger the child is, the more languages that they're exposed to, does it not open so many more pathways in their brains that allows language learning and other learning to come to them a little bit easier later on in life? Why is it not, I don't know, I mean, should children be learning in lots of different languages? Will it benefit them?
It's a very important question. That's why I got interested in bilingual education and in multilingual education. The idea that we are multilingual in Africa, it's very rare to find communities that only speak one language. I mean, by that I also mean that there are also varieties within the same language that people have. So you might have your isiXhosa from Cape Town, but you also know isiXhosa from the Eastern Cape. That makes you much more susceptible to learning languages. So I'm working on bilingual education, especially around the notion of simultaneous biliteracy. Simultaneous biliteracy means that children learn to speak and read and write all their languages simultaneously. No languages has to maybe follow after the other. The reason being is that many children grow up in multilingual or bilingual homes. So when they do, the father speaks another language and the mother speaks another language, those children become bilingual, and by the time they go to school, English becomes a third language.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. And sometimes even in our own homes where we are Xhosa speakers, but then our children go to creche as babies, so they acquire English in creche, they come home, they speak isiXhosa, so we need to have the best of both for them. It's important to support what goes on in school, but it's also important to speak the home language, because research does show that home language has a lot of value for learning additional languages. If you are strong in your home language, you become stronger in the second languages as well in school, but that is ignored in our education system. So what I'm arguing for is that we have bilingual children. Even people think of bilingualism as perfect bilingualism. I'm not speaking about perfect bilingualism. I'm speaking about the fact that if children watch television and hear English words and get to know English words, that becomes a resource they put in their pocket. It becomes an additional language that they starting to be bilingual as they are 3-year-olds or 2-year-olds, they start singing things and saying things in English in their home, but they also speak isiXhosa. So why don't we encourage both languages in the home as well as in the school? The tendency now...
Exactly. And I think South Africans might be feeling like we don't want to go to that complete extreme. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this conversation. We cross now to Cape Town. Sibulelo, welcome to Afternoon Express. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks, and yourself?
I'm doing very good, thank you. What is your question or comment?
So it's not a question, it's more of a yes to what you guys have approached the topic today. You know, for me, I grew up, so I'm black, but I grew up in white schools only. So I believe Xhosa should, or rather mother languages should be taught from primary school, in the sense that, what I mean by this is that because we tend to forget who we are. That's my reason for putting this out. Because, like I said, I grew up in white schools. I came home, I spoke English. I never spoke Xhosa at all. My parents were kind of worried I was going to forget who I am as a Xhosa woman. And it's happening a lot these days, where you go to schools, like, as an example, Westerford High, Edgewood High as an example, where you will get girls, black kids who will forget who they are. So I do believe that you know, home languages should be taught from primary school all the way up, and then a pupil can then choose which path they go in. So that will remind them or put that thing or the idea that they are who they are, and they just need to be, you know, like, it's kind of best of both worlds, basically.
Love your comment.
I totally agree with that. I really hope that finds.
I'd love to continue the conversation, and we are going to do so in just a bit on the show, because I think the next topic we're going to have to open up is a big can of worms: decolonizing education.
Now, South Africa really is the land of opportunity, and even the world's top institutions are taking notice. Earlier this year, the University of Harvard, which has seen alumni such as Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, and Barack Obama, opened up their first office on African soil. It's called the Harvard Center for African Studies, and we caught up with Executive Director Obenewe Aponsa to find out more about the great work they're doing.
The Harvard University Center for African Studies' Africa office was established in May 2017 as a branch of the main center in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And really, our objective is very simple. It's about making African experiences, African knowledge, African perspectives commonplace. I think often we find, both on the continent and in the international community, when we speak about Africa, people don't really have a good understanding of what's taking place on the continent. I think that the continent benefits from the Center for African Studies as much as Harvard and as students and alumni in other parts of the world do, in large part because it's a platform for sharing experiences. I think one of the things we'll notice about public discourse is that the volume seems to be getting louder and louder, no matter where you look around the world. And so we intend for this to be a space where people can really come together, think and explore in a safe environment, creating a real opportunity for dynamic engagement.
Some of the activities and programs we're going to be undertaking are things like book launches for relevant topics. We're also going to have things like dialogues, talking about relevant issues that are going on, contemporary issues on the continent. Our key focus areas, we have the business and entrepreneurship. You know, we do say that the 21st century belongs to Africa. We want to unpack what that means. The second focus area we have are in the arts. We want, if you want to get people excited about certain things, the arts are a very good place to start. We also are looking at health. Public health is an important topic for us. And then we're going to focus on agriculture, nutrition. These are big topics on the continent. And then the fifth focus is on technology and innovation. When people think about Africa, sometimes you think about trees, you think about lions and giraffes, but we don't always think about those innovations that have impacted the world that come from here. And so we want to highlight what those are and how those have impacted the world.
In addition to the research and student and faculty exchange, as well as the public programs, we also facilitate social impact programs. The Harvard South Africa Fellowship Program is but one of those initiatives that has been running since 1979. Every year since then, 4 to 6 South African mid-career professionals have had the opportunity to go and study at Harvard, fully funded. In addition to that, we've recently piloted a new program called Inspire, where we take 3rd and 4th year students in high school to Harvard for a 2-week summer program where they eat in a Harvard dorm, they have a mentor who is a Harvard student or faculty member, they attend classes. And the idea is to really expose them to the university experience and to help them come back a bit more confident and to do just what the title of the program says, to inspire them to think and to dream just that much bigger.
Sure, love it so much. That's a really cool concept that they've got going on there, and I really think it's time to go and consider what education means to us as South Africans and how much we're going to invest in it. Listen, we're having a conversation about indigenous languages and how mother tongue should be incorporated into school and in education. So after the break, more from our guest to talk about decolonizing education.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us back on Afternoon Express. We're still on the couch. We're talking decolonizing education. What does that look like? And what do we mean by that?
It looks possible.
Yay.
For me, you know, when we... there are a lot of definitions out there, a lot of theories, hypotheses, and so on. But for me, decolonizing an institution is getting rid of everything that came with colonization and that still oppresses the black people today.
Okay.
So if I'm not allowed to use my own language, that's something that came with the colonization. It needs to go. I need to have a right to use my own language, whether it's Zulu, whether it's Xhosa, whether it's Sotho or English or Afrikaans. I must have a right to use my own language.
Absolutely. I think that the sentiment has been positive about that. I think everyone online that I've been reading all the comments have always been very positive about that. And so I thought it's time for us to cross to you guys at home. And we got a comment that came through from KZN. Veronica, welcome to Afternoon Express. I hear that you've got a view that's slightly kind of on the same line as what's happening online, with people asking you questions. What happens to disadvantaging kids who can't speak English going into the business world, correct?
There is very little disadvantages.
Yeah.
Simply because you automatically, if you look at the schools, they full with parents wanting their children to go to an English school, and where English is spoken, and they speak in a better tone. They conduct themselves properly. They have more confidence in themselves, and using their whole brain cells, whereby they will take the initiative like the doctor that wrote and studied in Rhodes University.
Yeah.
So you gain more knowledge on your own. It's your initiative.
Okay.
And then you're proud because you did it.
All right. Thank you very much, Victoria, for that call. Appreciate your thoughts and sentiments around that. And I think it's kind of going along those lines of disadvantaging kids in terms of education and global prospects. I mean, will decolonizing education have that effect?
I think for me, decolonizing means delinking from anything that has colonization in it. So, but it also doesn't mean that you throw away everything that you have, but you actually centering what was in the periphery. Our African languages at the moment are in the periphery of the education system, and we want to center them so that we have them plus English. So nobody talks about either English or Xhosa, but both English and Xhosa in the classroom. Children do need to work with both languages when they are bilingual. They draw from all their resources when they are discussing questions, concepts that they are learning. For example, when one teaches, there are times when children have to do exploratory talk. What does it mean to talk about decolonization, for example? That is exploratory talk. So you talk about it in many languages as possible, and you come to a conclusion later on. But the process of learning needs to encompass all languages, even if they're going to write in one language or in another language. But because I work in bilingual education, for me, reading, writing has to happen in all those languages that the children are learning. We are products of rural education. We had teachers who, when they saw that we didn't understand English, they translated back to English for us, to Xhosa for us to understand so that they can move on with the lessons. And we are here today, we are able to speak English, we are able to go out there in the world. And also we need to get rid of the ideologies that we have that circulate, ideologies which is beliefs that circulate about how language should be used, because people believe that only English works out there in the world. I've just been in Brazil and they spoke Portuguese, I spoke English, we didn't understand each other. So we used other means of communication in order to understand one another. I had been to Senegal before where a conference was in French and I didn't understand what was being spoken there. So it's a lie to say all over the world people speak English. But it's also an important factor to factor in, though, that English is still hegemonic and that people desire English. So that's why bilingual education for me brings best of both, because you satisfy the desire for English, but you also understand that language home language is very central to learning, to meaning making.
Yeah, and you're researching right now how monolingual ideologies in communication apply or don't apply in a multilingual setting. And
Yes.
what are some of the findings of your research?
Well, I find that, for example, I work with young children in a literacy club, and these children speak Xhosa in English, and sometimes Shona comes in, and sometimes Afrikaans comes into the setting, sometimes Japanese, depending on who I have in the context for the children to learn, and they are able to learn. But what we are finding is that we're also allowing children to be free to use their urban varieties of isiXhosa and urban varieties of English, and which are not legitimized, but they are very much useful in understanding what words are. For example, when we spoke about what we want to do in the club, and the children said, well, we want to record videos, but they said, sifuna ukuvideorizer. And so you ask them, what is another word for ukuvideorizer? And others will say, sifuna ukwenza ivideo. And then others will say, sifuna ukushiqilela ivideo. I find that very enriching for the children to be able to use these different words, because in English, when they say videorizing, in English we say recording videos or making videos. And you find that there's a whole range of language that children acquire from engaging in that way rather than sticking to one single standard language.
Indeed.
Of course, standard languages are also a problem because they mean that we don't get children to speak naturally in the classroom.
Dr. Kunju, I don't want to ignore your comments. I want to take something very close to home because we've got a caller from Grahamstown joining us on the line. Esther, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very good, thank you. Share your thoughts with us.
Well, I just wanted to highlight that since 2003 at the University of Limpopo, we've had a bilingual degree in which both Sesotho sa Leboa and English have been used as media of instruction and assessment. So the practice of bilingual education at university level is very possible and should be encouraged, at least on an experimental basis in every university.
Love that thought, Esther. Thank you. I think we need to applaud Limpopo University for doing that.
Well done.
You guys are very excited about that,
Yes,
Doctor.
very excited, yes. You see, I think the fear that people have when we talk about African languages in higher education, I think they think we're talking about that there's no English now, everything is going to be in isiXhosa, and they forget that there's a difference between a language of education and a language of communication. We're still going to communicate in whatever language we want to communicate, but what's important is we want an effective teaching and learning, efficient and sustainable. Now, if you go into the rural areas of the Eastern Cape, you get take for example, if I went to teach now in the Eastern Cape, I have to teach in English. Learners who don't speak English, I don't speak good English myself. You see, we're talking about effective learning here and effective teaching. So that's what there's a difference between the language of communication and of getting knowledge. So when we say African languages, we're not saying that no more English. You can never, people say we think we're going to be globally disengaged now. No, it's not like she said, we can go wherever we want to be in the world and still, use whatever language you want to use for that matter, because as she said, she went to Brazil or whatever, also went to Ivory Coast, had to get someone to translate my PowerPoint, research in French. I could have done that in isiXhosa because they don't understand English anyway, so we're not going to be globally disengaged, maths is maths, whether it's taught in Sesotho or in German or it is mathematics. It doesn't change the language. The fact which language uses it doesn't change the principles.
Having said that, it's worth noting that you lecture, in Xhosa, you lecture Xhosa at the Salt Lake University.
Yes, Salt Lake University, that's my university. And what we also have there, I don't know if you have it, we have isiXhosa's language of learning and teaching. Because now, just recently, Eastern Cape has dramatically increased the number of schools that teach use isiXhosa as medium of instruction from 74 schools to 310 schools. And they're also stretching.
I'm going to have to be very rude and cut you off for a second. We just want to run out of time, so please continue the conversation on social media. We'd love to hear from you. Good night and happy eating.
Thank you for joining us. Good night.
Search for a home on any device, anytime, anywhere. Private property, a home for everyone.
Afternoon Express, made with love by Clover.
Another feel-good production.